Taco, 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 taco tribe. Come see what Taco Tribe can do.
We're gonna be talking to, copyright and IP and stuff like that. Just since the whole shit went down with what is it, baby plankton, which to me seems like how did people not realize that it was like a whole stolen thing before? I want to get Jane here to talk about that. Give me a sec. I want to send him a message.
Can anyone explain what happened with the baby plankton? Because it's the first time I'm seeing these NFTs, but I see everyone posting like it's an old project or something.
I mean, I think I've seen them around, and I'm pretty sure we did follow each other, but apparently, like, they literally traced the baby plankton from the show, and like I guess it took a bunch of people like this long to realize it, and obviously he just like made the baby plankton into different like avatars and gave it assets and stuff, and I guess it got taken down because of that, and then I guess he came out with a new collection that was like someone instantly found the image that he had traced for the new collection on Pinterest or something, and he got called out and like took it down like within like an hour of him posting it or something.
I see.
That's why I mean, and I know that's why I was talking about like the whole tracing of the SpongeBob hat for the guac collection, because I did draw it, but I did like have an overlay and I basically traced the SpongeBob hat, and I don't know if that's real bad. So I'm basically just I have like two assets like that, where I basically traced to get the same aesthetic as the actual asset in the like actual show, and so I'm probably gonna just redraw what I have and just kind of give it make it my own, so it's not the exact thing like I traced or something.
Yeah, it's better if it's not traced, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's only two the assets, and I did it just because I don't know, I wanted it to like have the same feel and lines and stuff like that, but yeah, I probably shouldn't do that. So I'm definitely gonna redraw those, and we got the Apple Pen fixed today, so that's good. And I need to draw the two images for the the minting dApp for the guac collection. That's how we found out the pen was dying, because I was trying to draw the background and the pen like stopped working. But Bry's still working on. We're looking for. Well, I mean, I'm trying to come up with like a better design for the staking dApp, but like I cannot. I like have like a document on Photoshop that I've been like trying to mess with to like see what I want it to look like, but I just like cannot land on anything because I want it to be look a little bit better. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, what's the problem with it? I like it. I like the look of it.
It's too plain. I feel. I don't know. I'm not. Nothing's really wrong with it. I'm just like not in love with it. You know what I mean? Just want to get it updated.
Well, I mean, maybe not change it, just improve it. Like, keep the basic idea.
Yeah, we'll keep the basic idea, but I definitely want to just improve it a lot. Like, I'm probably gonna take out like the banner at the top and have something else there, or just update the banner to like mesh with the background more. I don't really have a solid idea. Like I said, like it all works. Well, I guess most of it works. And I just want to get it to where like I'm in love with it. You know what I mean? Right now it's cool. What's up, CJ? Right now it's cool and I like it, but it's like I'm not in love with the design. You know what I mean? So, but I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do yet. So, we'll see. that'll probably come in the future. Let's just get the soft staking working. And that's kind of what I was telling Bri. I was like, fuck it, I don't know what I'm doing. Let's just get the soft staking working, and then I'll work on actually updating the design. Because I don't want to halt any progress while I'm just like, what do I want to do here?
Don't know, man. It's chunky. I like it.
It's what?
It's chunky.
Chunky?
Everything looks chunky there. The buttons and everything.
Yeah, I feel like it could be more sleek and just like better design. So I don't know. Maybe I'll look at some other things for inspiration and stuff. But for now, it'll stay the same until I can actually sit on something and design something that I want it to look like. You know. But I mean, let's get started, I guess. Like we're gonna be recording the space, and we're gonna be uploading it to YouTube. I just uploaded the last space. If anybody had missed it onto the YouTube, we talked about the metaverse, and this week we are going to be talking about the copyright and IPs. Like I said before, mainly stemming from the idea of the whole baby plankton thing, because they basically line for line traced their baby plankton collection and the new collection they tried to drop after that. Nico actually had sent me an article from the website nftnow.com, and the title is NFT licenses. How can creators legally protect their IP when they make NFTs? And IP is, in case anybody doesn't know, is intellectual property. So things that you create. And this article, which is not that long, is really good. It like explains a bunch of different aspects and things. And I actually want to read the whole article for y'all, and then we can discuss the different aspects of the article and talk about it, if that's okay with everybody. So I haven't read out loud in the class for a while. Been out of high school for a long time, but we'll see how this goes.
At least read the first part where it has the rights and everything. I mean, you don't really have to read every example, because he gives a lot of examples.
Well, I feel it gives 4 examples, but I think they're really good examples for people that don't have any knowledge to actually get what it's talking about. So I do kind of want to read the whole article. Maybe we can stop in between and talk about each individual thing, but I do want to read the whole article because it's good.
Agreed.
I read most of it, and it's good, and people that maybe don't understand would get a really good grasp on it, I feel like, because it is a really good article by NFT Now. So let's just get into it. Anybody that is up here, what's up, Nudie? Feel free to stop me if you want to talk about something or whatever, and let's just get right into it. I'll invite some more people up to speak if they want to come and talk about their opinions. Okay, so this is the article by NFT Now, titled NFT Licenses, How Can Creators Legally Protect Their Intellectual Property When They Make NFTs? Valued at over $99.7 billion by 2021's end, the global entertainment industry has started to dip its toes into NFTs, today's newest revenue stream. While the art world is primarily responsible for some of the most expensive NFTs ever sold, the NFT space is, oh my god, I'm going to not know some of these words. The NFT space is still nascent enough that, what the fuck, NASC, whatever, that there is plenty of room for household entertainment conglomerates like Warner Brothers, Disney, Marvel, DC, and others alike to find their place in what many have started to reference as the future of entertainment, or Entertainment 3.0. By leveraging billions of dollars worth of intellectual property, production companies and entertainment studios have started to welcome conversations about how to strategically inject NFTs into their ecosystem. Perhaps even more crucial, though, are the conversations happening around that intellectual property and its licensing. Enter the NFT license. The 6 bundles of rights. What exactly is a prospective buyer acquiring when they mint an NFT? Does the buyer retain full ownership of their NFT? Meaning, can they do whatever they want with it, whether it's for personal or commercial gain? Or is there some limitation or restrictions to its commercial use? The U.S. copyright law grants copyright owners, or in this case, NFT creators and issuers, 6 exclusive rights over how their work is used and distributed. Number 1, right to reproduce the work. Number 2, the right to create derivative works based on that original work. Number 3, right to distribute copies of their work. 4, the right to perform the work. 5, the right to publicly display the work. And number 6, with sound recordings, the right to perform the work publicly via digital audio transmission. Of these 6 exclusive rights, the NFT community has already stumbled across 4 of those rights as they affect copyright and trademark protection. Excuse me. The right to reproduce their work, as seen with the Nike StockX lawsuit, we'll have to talk about that. The right to create derivative works, as seen with Spice DAO. See, I'm actually not familiar with that. So we'll have to look into that a little bit. The right to distribute copies of their work, as seen ongoing with Miramax and Quentin Tarantino lawsuit. I do know about that. They were selling frames of Pulp Fiction, and the whole Miramax are like suing them because they were selling NFTs of the frames of Pulp Fiction. The right to publicly display the work, as seen on an ongoing lawsuit between Hermes and Mason Rothschild. Don't know what the hell that is about either. Let's briefly explore how each of these rights has come about in space, forcing the legal landscape to address relationships between NFTs and IP law. Oh, it's going to explain all the things I just said I didn't know about. Perfect. Spice DAO. Back in January 2022, a collective known as Spice DAO made headlines for one of the silliest mistakes to occur in the NFT space. The collective spent a hefty $3 million on a copy of an unpublished manuscript of the film Dune. Oh, I do remember this. Mistakenly believing that the ownership granted them the film's copyrights as well. Well, I feel like that is really dumb to think. Upon the purchase, the DAO took to social media informing users of its then intent to produce an original animated series inspired by the original book, and then hopefully to be sold to a streaming service for which it would acquire copyright. Yeah, that's really stupid to think that just because you own the script, you own the IP to that. Or is it? I don't know. Miramax versus Quentin Tarantino. In November 2001, award-winning director Quentin Tarantino announced that he would be selling 7 NFTs related to the 1994 cult classic Pulp Fiction. Each NFT, according to Tarantino, would include an uncut, first handwritten scripts from the film with exclusive custom commentary by the director, as well as a unique work of art that was inspired by the film, which would be available to the public. Miramax, the film's distributor, filed a federal lawsuit in California against Tarantino, arguing a myriad of issues, but as it relates to NFTs, copyright and trademark infringement. They allege that Tarantino doesn't have the legal right to create and sell the NFTs without misappropriating Miramax's goodwill, as well as creating a likelihood of customer confusion, where consumers could believe that Miramax either created or endorsed the sale of those NFTs. This case is currently still in Allegation. Okay. Hermes versus Mason Rothschild. Meta Birkins. Back in January of 2022, French luxury fashion house Hermes filed a complaint against California artist Mason Rothschild. In December 2021, Rothschild announced his Meta Birkins NFT project, virtual art that depicted Hermes Birkin bags and trademark. The fashion house argues Rothschild misappropriation of the Hermes Birkin trademark while also profiting off the Hermes goodwill on over 100 collectibles. The case is currently in litigation. Nike versus StockX. In February, Nike filed a lawsuit against an online sneaker resale giant StockX for selling its Vault NFTs without permission. The complaint alleges that StockX intentionally and knowingly used Nike's trademarks without authorization to market and subsequently mint the NFTs, arguing that the project is likely to cause consumer confusion, as Nike never authorized nor participated in the project. Still in litigation. Well, that makes complete sense. Like, actually, like using Nike's likeness and the and like buying a script and thinking you own the rights. The only one that, I mean, I guess they do have a leg to stand on, but I feel like is really dumb is the Quentin Tarantino Miramax one, because he is the director of the fucking website of the movie. But I mean, just because he directed the movie, he doesn't own the copyright. Before I continue reading this, Jake is here, and I'd like him to come up and just explain a little bit about what happened with the baby plankton and their new collection that kind of got called out as well. You hear, Jake?
Yeah, I'm here. You guys hear me?
We can. So so just to get everybody on the same page, Baby Plankton was an NFT collection that a lot of people had, a lot of people put a lot of money into, and it turns out, which is in hindsight is kind of obvious, that they copied the line art almost directly by tracing the Baby Plankton character from SpongeBob. So do you have any information about how like the public came to kind of turn against and figure all this out? Like, what's the timeline?
Yeah. So this is kind of a drawn out thing. So I'm just gonna paint a story for you guys so it can make more sense to people who didn't buy Plankton or isn't in the alpha group or any of this other stuff.
Yeah.
So, bottom line, Plankton, I don't know. He predates me in this space is the first thing. So you guys gotta understand. He was here before I was.
Yeah, he's been here for a long time. I've seen his project.
Time. So I'm just being straight honest. When I first started, that was one of the collections I was like, ooh, I hope I have one someday. Like, I remember thinking that. And so, anyways, backtrack, I don't know, 4 or 5 months. He was in a different DM group that I originally started in when I started doing NFTs. And everyone was buying it. So everyone had a few, but I thought it was really cool. And I'll just be honest with you guys, like, I'm pretty versed in copyright in general. I'm a designer by trade. I kind of know what's like a duh avoid and what's more questionable. And when I first saw the Planktons, I thought, okay, this is obviously an issue. And I didn't have any yet. But so many people had already bought in and seemed like a good dude. So I bought a few, just kind of seeing what would happen. And because another part of this too is that I did not understand that Baby Plankton was actually a character like in SpongeBob. Like, I knew SpongeBob, I watched a lot of it growing up, but I just thought Plankton was like a character, and this was somebody like doing a derivative of that. Like, oh, it's Plankton, but he's a baby. And so that was like in my mind sight, like how this was going to be okay or could be okay, which looking back on it now, I should have just stuck with my heart and known it was wrong. So fast forward a few months, he actually gets taken down. So he's offline for like, I don't know what it was, over a week. Back and forth with OpenSea, extremely transparent with us about it, showing us the emails, showing us the dialogue, giving us updates, and he brought it back on. He got it back online. So when that happened, when he went through whatever the OpenSea process is, when someone complains or when you have a copyright quote unquote issue, it got resolved and they put his collection back up. So that was when
So
I stopped.
what were the emails? Was it actually about like the copyright? Were they talking about
It
the
was,
copyright?
yeah. So the thing you guys got to understand about when your collection gets taken down, there's two ways it happens. It's either, and this is what I understand now that we didn't understand back then. You, anyone in Twitter, OpenSea, anywhere could say, hey, I think that's copyright, or I'm just stupid and say it's copyright. They're going to look into that when you report it. Now, if it's just somebody saying copyright and you debate that back with them, that's where it ends, because there's no legal dynamic at play. There's been no file sent over. There's been no cease and desist. This is not coming from the copyright's source. So that kills it. So for instance, in that case, he battled it back. It was either an NFT artist or a collector or some random hater that just wanted to see it get taken down. But that's not the way OpenSea works. I didn't understand this. So I took that back then as, oh, it's got to be fine. OpenSea has looked into this and reinstated it. So that's why I quit caring about the idea that it would get taken down, because in my mind, it was safe now. So
that makes complete sense. If you think OpenSea is going to allow it, then your worries about it being copyright or whatever before is kind of out the window, because this giant company is allowing it. So how is it copyright?
And so you guys got to understand a couple other things too. So like for instance, at this point I was probably about his whale. I don't know if I was his whale yet, but I had a lot of them. But when he got back online, he started being really generous. He's really always been really generous in terms of like if you bought from him, he'll send you free ones like all the time. Like I had almost 60, and I can tell you that over 10 of them were gifts. Some requested, others just because, hey, dude, here you go. He was extremely nice in that capacity, and so I kept buying because I was like, this is extremely lucrative. This guy's selling out. He's giving me gifts for buying so many. He's a cool dude. He's in our space, all this stuff, and then a couple weeks back, he gets taken down again. And in my mind, it's like the same thing. Although the group knows at this point, we're kind of leery of the subject matter, but we're thinking, oh, it's going to be fine. We're going to go through this again, and it'll be a bunch of bullshit, and then he'll be back up online because it's some hater, some stupid person getting pissed. So 2 weeks go by. He finally reaches back out and says, hey, guys, it's not coming back online. I got a plan in order. I'll be in touch. We're like, okay, I'm fucking pissed. I can't even begin to explain to you how much money I've spent on planktons at this point. And I'm like, okay.
Well, so what was their? How many did they have? Did they actually sell out? What was like the price for the mint?
His mint shifted a lot. There were times when it was 0.2 before the collapse of the market. Lately, the last month or so, it was always 0.1. But he would vary it around. Like if it stagned out, he'd dump it down a little bit to get it moving again. And when he'd sell out, he'd pump it up a little. So he really played on how bad people were trying to nab him, essentially.
So was he directly uploading to OpenSea?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so he didn't have his own smart contract.
No, it's not his own contract. No, he's an OS contract. Yep.
Okay.
And the other thing you guys gotta understand about this is the irony is like, yes, his collection is whack because it's based on a known character like tracing. But the other funny thing of this is the entire time we've been defending him and buying his stuff, there have been ad nauseum people stealing his stolen concept and selling it again. So Baby Plankton is like all over the fucking place. They're all frauds, obviously, but like Plankton kept getting the fakes of the fake, like taken down too, which was like another thing in my mind that made me think, okay, this guy's like calling attention to what's bogus, period. If they keep wiping out the bogus ones, but they leave him alone, like that was playing into my like thought process too on whether it was safe. So anyways, back to like where we are, he gets taken down again, tells us it's an actual copyright from Nickelodeon this time. He's not going to get it back. It's done. That's the end of it. And his plan is I'm making a new one or a new collection, and however many you bought from me, I'm going to give you a percentage of that in the new collection. Whatever. I'm like, okay, let's see what happens. So he disappears for like 2 days, and then he comes back. and he just starts dumping all these images of this new rat look, this ratoons thing he's built out. And it just immediately red flags for me. Because I'm like, one, how does he already have so many of them? And two, why does it look so familiar? So me and a couple of our, I'll just call them the detective group, start digging into this. And I don't even think it was 30 minutes later, we found the exact thing he was using on Pinterest. Which is where we found like nearly all the copycats we found lately. It's just like hilarious how easy it is to find. And it was just the last straw. I immediately DM'd him. I wanted to give him one chance to be like, you know, hear him out, see what he says. Posted the Pinterest thing in his DM, said, you want to explain yourself? About 5 minutes later, he had wiped everything. So he was fully committed to scamming us all again. He knew he had gotten taken down for copyright and was going to come back and just do it all over again. And so he bailed, and we've all blocked him, and we're currently following his wallet, dumping everything. So
did he think that because he had stolen it from like Pinterest that he wouldn't have gotten the copyright because it's just some random person on Pinterest and not like a big company or something?
That would be the obvious thing, I would say, but I'm just gonna give you my, armchair psychologist real quick breakdown. Plankton had a daughter that he was very open about, that the whole idea was hers, and that he was doing this for her. His real life was pretty brutal from what he shared and showed us. I think he's had a hard go of it. This doesn't excuse any of this, but I think he was desperate. I think he knew everything he was doing was wrong, but I think he also knew it was working. And I don't think he had another way of changing his life. I think he felt like this is the only way. And so it doesn't change anything. It's bullshit. He's a scammer. I will not defend it, but I do believe it was motivated by his desperation. And that's why he came back with another stolen idea, you know, kind of a no shame dynamic. Like, oh, I'll make this work somehow. And, you know, I was going to be extremely due diligent after what had happened. So, we dug into that right away, and he didn't even try to argue it. He knew he'd been caught, and I'm sure he just said, fuck it. I'm sure he's on another platform right now, probably selling those things as we speak. I don't know. But it's my most brutal lesson in this entire time I've been here. I'll be really upfront with you guys. Like, yeah, I was his whale, but he was in my alpha group for a long time. We actually talked about life and stuff other than NFTs, and he was insanely supportive of everyone in the group. Was always positive, always congratulating us. It's really kind of a mind fuck, to be totally honest with you. I don't know quite how to deal with it or quantify it, to be totally honest with you guys. It's a little bit of it's a huge shock. It's just kind of it's like I'm waiting to wake up from a dream or something. It's really
because it sounds like in general he's a good person, but at the same time was just didn't have a real idea, found an image that he liked and tried to use it.
I worry too that he started it not knowing what would happen, and then it blew up and he became extremely popular, and I think he didn't know how to walk away from that. I think by the time he realized he was probably fucking up, he was like, how the hell do I even how do I stop this now, So I don't know. I'm not defending him. It's bullshit. If I could see him right now, I'd tell him to fuck off. But it's I don't know. It's brutal lesson for me, brutal lesson for everyone I support and have helped. I feel extremely terrible about it, if I'm being real honest about it.
And he changed his right, to the Rattoons thing?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is he still posting on there?
No, he wiped that. So he changed it to that. When I exposed him, he immediately dumped. He immediately deleted it and wiped everything out. Wiped his IG, and it's crazy because his IG had 20,000 people following.
Wow.
So I mean, he's giving up a lot, and that's how I know it's completely a scam and was a desperation, because he's willing to just back out of all of it.
Yeah.
So that's the long and the short of it. I'm happy to further talk DM with anyone who wants to know more about it, or things in general.
I want you to send me the picture that you found.
Oh yeah, I can get you guys that. Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, honestly, if you just search cartoon rat character on Pinterest, you'll probably find it immediately. It's not some secret hidden thing. That's what's so stupid about it. It was so easily able to be found. And that's why I think he has like a mental issue or is like extremely desperate because he's been in this group with us where we've been exposing this over and over again. Like I cannot tell you how many times he's literally been sitting there talking with us about this is a scam, that is a scam, here's the image of it, here's where that came from, blah, 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 blah. So like how he thought he was going to get away with it, I have no idea other than to literally say he was delusional or desperate because he knows we were going to figure it out. Like we've been doing nothing but figuring it out for months. You know, I don't know what his mindset was in that regard, but it did not work out for him because he never even sold one. So,
well, that's crazy. I mean, I don't even know what to say to that. Like, I saw the whole Baby Plankton thing, and I knew Baby Plankton from SpongeBob, but I didn't think of any of the implications with that, especially because he was drawing assets for it, and there were. You know, obviously they were like the base was completely the same, but you know, different outfits and stuff.
Yeah, Plankton's part of this weird group that I've run into while being here, which is there are people out there that are immensely technically talented. They can turn on a program, grab an iPad, and make incredible art, but it's all based on something that already exists. They have no creativity to make their own idea, but they can replicate virtually anything, which is its own skill set. Is what I'm trying to get at here is that I'm seeing this trend of people that are technically sound, but don't have a creative idea and are like, well, whatever, I can make these look legit. I'm just going to steal the premise, doll up all these NFTs, and hope no one realizes that the Genesis piece is like bogus. And we've seen this happen with a bunch of collections recently. I mean, I don't know if you guys are familiar, there was this Ama Grandma collection that we dived into like a month ago that had a really cool concept, and the art was like really clean and nice. And then about 2 weeks into it, it got taken down, and then we dug into it and realized the base character was like another Pinterest illustration. Much harder to find than some of these other ones, but at the end of the day, it was still a completely ripped off concept.
Yeah.
So like we're seeing this wave of people that are technically sound. So you're going to look at the NFT and say, "Oh my God, yes, this is an artist. This person has abilities. This person's legit. Like I should invest in this." But what you have to care about a lot more now is what is the source of their idea, because that's all that really matters at the end of the day. Because all you do to doll it up, that doesn't counteract the premise of the copyright at all. You know.
So okay, so what do you think about like the thing I was talking about in the group? So for the Guac collection, I made the character, like I drew it all by myself.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the assets, like I have two assets.
Yeah.
That I basically traced. Like one's a SpongeBob cook's hat, his chef's hat.
Yep.
And the other one, I'll just say it is like the Goofy movie possum hat.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. So what I would say on all of this is first of all, there's levels. So what you're talking about is an asset.
Yeah.
Not your NFT collection. So worst case scenario, what you're talking about is Goofy movie comes after you. They're going to take every NFT down that has that on it, not the collection. So you're dealing with a totally different argument when you're talking about a stolen component or a traced component versus a traced collection. So like
like I got a lot of like original ones in there, but like I wanted to pay some homage to like some shows, movies that I liked. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What I would say in general, no one has nailed this better than Anna, Metavixen. She has managed to replicate the premise of a ton of copyright characters without using logos, exact builds, and in no way referencing what it's supposed to be. That's the other like big key component is like if I say something like, for instance, you're talking about this block collection. Let's say you name that asset in your traits as Goofy movie hat or whatever.
Yeah.
It is literally simply a matter of time until that is taken down, because you are insinuating that you are somehow connected, or literally the Goofy movie then. Because whenever you take something and pretend that it's yours, that's where the real like people don't want your stuff stolen. But what drives lawsuits is the idea, and you were just reading this when I entered the room, the idea that you are confusing the market into thinking that you are the product or that you're part of the product when you're not.
Yeah.
And that's the big thing in brand awareness is it's not about the fact that you stole it. It's about the idea that you're going to confuse the public into thinking that this thing, whatever we're talking about, an NFT, hats, shirts, whatever merchandise, anything imaginable, is that you're actually that company. You're that brand. You're that entity, and you're not.
Yeah.
And so that's more what the obsessive nature of that is. It's not so much like, oh my God, you stole our art. Everyone's stealing art all the time. It's ridiculous. But the difference is when it appears that you are trying to pretend that you are Pokemon, or that you're associated with Pokemon, or you're a partner of Pokemon. You know what I mean? Like we have no one here has any association with Pokemon. So when you put a Pokeball or a Pikachu or anything from the show in that's like an auto like, what the hell? You know, because you're not associated with that, so you don't have the.
The Goofy Movie Possum hat, I just named Possum hat, and the SpongeBob hat I named Fry Cook hat.
Yeah.
So it's it's not the exact thing, but it's basically the exact image, which even if I would be all right just thinking of it, like I feel like I should and am going to redraw them just so obviously it like what it is, but it's not like a complete line stolen trace of the actual thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would never trace anything, and I would definitely not associate anything with the idea that it's, X IP, whatever it is.
Yeah, and I made these when I had a bunch of hats, and I was like, what other hats are like iconic? You know what I mean? So I looked up a couple that I really liked and was like, I want this hat in there, and I wanted the same aesthetic. So I did trace both of those basically, and obviously made them like fit the avocado guy. So it's not like exact, but it's basically the same shape and stuff. So
right.
I'm gonna go back and I'm still gonna have them in there, but not, in like my own style. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I feel like that'll be a lot better and a lot better for like the community trust, I guess I could say.
Yeah.
If Metavixens wants to come up, I'd love to hear, because you were saying they've done a really good job of incorporating things like that. If you want to come up and just talk about your thoughts on this whole copyright subject,
Putting on the spot.
Yeah, putting her on the spot. Come on up. But yeah.
I think also Prism wanted to say something.
Oh, Prism? Sorry, I didn't see your hand up.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, I'm sorry that happened to you, Jake, and I just feel for you. Yeah, I was wondering. My question was around the like how you found it. I think you kind of answered that. You said you like looked for comparative art using Pinterest. Did you use Pinterest directly, or did you use like Google search, image search? That was my question. Thank you.
Yeah, so the first one is always just a straight up Google search. Just, screenshot it, plug it in, see what it brings back.
So you did a reverse image search?
Well, that's the first thing I always do. This is not how we found this one. But it will find some, depending on what it is. So after that, we didn't find it. So the next thing is Pinterest. And that's more of you're just like trying to find it via, terms, like saying rat or whatever. Because there's no image input like there is on Google. That I'm aware of anyways.
Well, that's crazy that you were able to find that the rat collection so quick. And I'm glad that you did and called him out on it directly, and he didn't get to scam and sell someone else's art as his own collection.
Yeah. The one last thing I'll just say, guys, is I'm telling this as a cautionary tale. This is not a poor me moment. This is my fuck up. This is my screw up. Do not feel bad for me. And I say this because I want this place to get a lot smarter. Ultimately, the plankton thing should have been avoided, and I let my naive, understanding of OpenSea and my desire to be someone's friend to, circumvent what is obvious to me now. So I appreciate the kind words, but just learn from me. Don't buy stuff that's obviously stolen. It will get taken down. It's just a matter of when.
And that just goes back to like do your own research, like really actually do some research, and if you have any inkling about it, like look into it like as hard as you can, like ask other people and stuff like that.
And the thing I really want to see change around here, and I really love to just see everyone be this way, is like I keep seeing this stuff when a collection gets taken down. The almost entire commentary is, what the fuck is wrong with OpenSea? What the hell? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Like, there is no scenario I'm aware of where OpenSea was wrong. So, when you get taken down, there's a reason. And we've got to get beyond this, like, poor artist thing when most of these poor artists stole something, and that's why it's gone. Like, I don't know what else to say about it other than that. Like, we have got to get beyond this, like, amateur level, like, we're poor, so legal issues aren't an issue, aren't a big deal. Like, you still have to follow the rules. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, regulations I'm sure are coming, and I'm sure like the copyright is going to get a lot stricter.
Yep.
And we're just early in like the Wild West right now. Like people are like getting away with what they can right now.
Yeah, it's winding down, guys. The amount of stuff that's gotten pulled in the last month is like tenfold the whole year. Like things are changing. So.
Well, apparently,
just gotta survive.
Apparently, Slothology got their collection taken down for a little bit. Solo was saying because they had some like Marvel characters in there. I don't know if that's exactly why. And I did see their collection is back up, but I'm not sure if they actually got taken down like because of that. But that's what Solo was saying.
No, I'll just tell you, like I can't say this like as a fact, but like just from what I've seen, if the collection goes down and it comes back up, it was an individual trying to take it down.
Yeah.
If the collection goes down, it doesn't come back up. The company has actually gone after it.
Yeah.
So.
Where are you?
I don't know, someone's like blasting the music in here.
Were you at the mall? It sounds like you're just walking around the mall.
No, I'm in the gym.
Nice. Getting that strength on. Getting your pump on.
Oh yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming up and explaining that whole situation. It's
sure.
it's a crazy situation, and you got to be careful out there.
Yeah. Is that really loud for you guys?
Yeah.
Loud for me. Okay. All right, I'm gonna mute and probably just listen now. So.
All right,
I
I appreciate you going over that whole thing.
For sure. Like I said, if anyone wants more info or more questions or has more questions, DM me. Happy to talk about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna DM you. I want to see that. I want to see that rat picture.
Yeah, for sure, man. Let me know.
Definitely.
Just hit me up.
All right, man.
Thanks.
All right. So that's basically the reason why we're having this conversation is the whole baby plankton thing. And let me. I'm about halfway done with this article. It's got some more useful information in here, so I will just continue. We left off at the NFT license, and it reads, in most cases, NFT creators have specifically restricted all commercial use of the NFT artwork, prohibiting buyers from commercializing their NFTs. However, we've seen a few instances in which NFT projects such as CryptoKitties, CryptoPunks, and Meebits have adopted the NFT license. The license provides buyers with a limited license to use, copy, or display their NFT art for all purposes of commercializing their own merchandise. The catch, however, with the NFT license in most cases is some annual gross revenue cap, such as CryptoKitties' 100,000-year gross revenue cap. The Bored Ape Yacht Club, Yuga Labs, the creator behind the Bored Ape Yacht Club collection, allows for its holders to fully commercialize their individual Bored Ape, owning the underlying Bored Ape art and the art completely, according to its terms and conditions. Additionally, Bored Ape purchasers obtain an unlimited worldwide license to create derivative works based on the underlying art with no cap on the revenue. However, it's worth noting that the copyright doesn't immediately vest to the new owner of the Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT. Rather, a written assignment is required to perfect the copyright transfer, as there is no assignment provision in the underlying smart contract. Based on the feedback of the community, monetizing a Bored Ape's commercial use rights is extremely difficult, as the buyer is ultimately competing with Bored Ape Yacht Club itself, which maintains the sole legal rights to use their logos and non-token specific IP. Another collection, The World of Women, taking Bored Ape Yacht Club's approach a step further, an NFT project assigns all of the rights, title, and interest of the intellectual property underlying the art to the buyers of the NFTs. However, it's limited to non-commercial use. In its terms and conditions, the project speaks directly to trademark concerns, informing buyers that they are allowed to use the terms World of Women when using the underlying art for non-commercial purposes. What are royalty-free NFTs? Similar to royalties that are often made to business or an individual for the ongoing use of their assets, the NFT space also requires a conversation about how royalties are addressed and distributed. NFT royalties give a creator a percentage of the sale price each time the owner or the creator's NFT's work is sold on a marketplace. In most cases, these payments are perpetual and executed through smart contract or code that controls the distribution automatically. However, NFT royalties differ from traditional royalty payments in that these are an automatic payout made to the NFT owner creator on the secondary sales without the need for intermediaries. While not every NFT yields royalties, they need to be written into the terms of the smart contract, otherwise the owner and the creator has no claim. Xenu's royalty-free license. Something new to the industry is the notion of decentralized internet intellectual property, as in the case study of Xenu, which recently introduced its 3D, fully animated original zombie NFT. Xenu claims to be one of the industry's first true cases of decentralized intellectual property in the form of royalty-free NFT license. Xenu grants every NFT holder a royalty-free license to their specific Xenu character, whereby they can use their individually minted Xenu for both personal and commercial purposes without any royalty fees owed. The company has repeatedly stated to its community that members of the Zombie Mob Secret Society NFT collection will be able to leverage their own personal ownerships of their piece of the Xenu brand as it creates toys, collectibles, merchandise, and countless other opportunities across many different verticals. The bottom line, the entertainment industry has a long way to go as it begins to dive into the NFT space, but it needs brilliant minds to help navigate its waters, to help rebuild its infrastructure that is both welcoming and fair for all creators and communities to enjoy. All right. And that is the article by NFTnow.com, which has a lot of really awesome articles. I've checked out a bunch. Actually, that's where I get some of my NFT news besides Reddit. And mostly I do Polygon news. But that's a lot of different ways to give rights and the IP protection to the users of the NFT. We do that. We don't have a legal binding document or anything like that, but we allow people to personal or commercialize their tacos as long as they own that taco for its lifespan. And I would assume that these collections do the same thing. If you sell the NFT, you wouldn't own the IP anymore. And I think that's kind of what happened with, if people remember the Seth Green incident, he owned a Bored Ape. He made an entire show around the whole Bored Ape that he owned, and then that Bored Ape actually got stolen, hacked out of his wallet, and he did not own the IP for that Bored Ape anymore. It was resold, not legitly, but someone legitly bought it, not knowing that it was a stolen NFT, and now they basically own the intellectual property towards that NFT. I'm not sure if he ever got it back. I actually don't know where that story actually ends, or if it's still ongoing. But there's a lot that's going into the whole legal issues about owning the NFT. Do you actually own the NFT? If like my collection, it says you own the NFT, is there any legal implications to that? Is it just the promise that I'll never come after you if you start selling shirts with your taco on it and make millions of dollars? Is it a legal standpoint? What is it? You know what I mean? It's very like I'll say with me, it's very like you have to trust the person, and there's no way of actually knowing or legal standing if they'll actually like come after you if you know, let's say start making millions of dollars from the NFT that they created. It's a weird space, and like I was saying earlier, I'm sure that there will be developments in the future about it. But for now, it's kind of like the Wild West. It's like basically like with baby planktons, it's like you do it until you get caught, I guess, which is obviously what a lot of people have been doing. Not obviously not everybody, and like some of the really good collections are all original, but there's so many like derivatives, I guess you can say, out there. You know, like they got the Bored Ape Yacht Club, then they got like the Bored Ape Solana Club. You know, all those. So like, can Bored Ape take those down? Is it different? Like it's a weird time right now, and I feel like in the future we could see basically all collections that are direct derivatives of main collections getting completely removed. Yeah, it's weird. Nico?
Yeah, I think that the most basic thing that a creator in the NFT space must have in mind is basically the first 6 rights that the article that we just read is stating. This bundle of rights. So, do you have the right to reproduce the work? Do you have the right to create derivatives? Do you have the right to distribute several copies? What else was it there? Do you have the right to publicly display it in marketplaces, in advertisements, in the media, in socials? I mean, these rules, if you think about them before you start your work, it's basically a guideline on where are you stepping and where what you can do, what you cannot. And also the creators must think the same about their work and what do they really want to do with their NFTs, I mean, with their IP rights when they sell their NFTs to the people in the space. You must also consider this. What kind of rights do you want to give by selling your NFTs? Because it's, it goes both ways. When you are trying to copy something that belongs to someone else, and when you're selling something and someone else is gonna try to copy you. I don't know if you're getting what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying. What I think we need to have down is like, is me posting and saying, like, let's say, like on our website, that the let's say, um let's say I suck ass, and on my website when I first dropped the collection, it says you have full commercial rights, do whatever you want, make as much money as you want, make whatever, as long as you own the taco, right? And let's say you, Nico, take that taco of as your avatar, the daily taco, and you make a blog, let's say, and that blog, you have ads on that blog, and that blog starts getting millions of hits, right? And you start making a lot of money from the advertisement, using the taco with like the newspaper. What is it a legal document if I just say that on the website? And what if I am a bad egg and I just remove that copyright section from the website and then come after you for using the taco for financial gain? You know what I mean? Um, because I mean, I guess there's really no record of it saying it. If I have it where it originally had said it, the one place, it's gone now. Jake?
Yeah, I'm just gonna real quick just kind of give a two sides to a coin. I'm not saying this like factually. I'm just telling you, if I had to put any money on it, this is how it works. You are not a legal system in any sense of the word. So anything you write somewhere simply because it's an NFT, that doesn't mean shit. And just because you take it down or don't take, like, that's not what makes something legally binding. No more than, it's the same idea if you have a copyright issue. Like, the company still has to go after you, file a lawsuit, and spend money. So when all you guys are talking about caring about this, are you going to spend your money to go legally go after someone? Because if you're not, there's no point to pretending there's any legal rights around your shit anyways, because you can't enforce any of it without going to court. So, that's something to think about too when you're like worrying about this kind of stuff. Is like, how big do you see your brand getting? How committed are you to this? Are you ready to go to court for a month and spend thousands of dollars just so Joe Blow nobody quits using your taco or whatever? Like, that's, you got to think about that stuff too. Like, some of this is irrelevant unless you're a mega corporation, like, because it's just not applicable to you.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, and I definitely see where you're coming from with that. I just want to know if there is, in my perspective, is there something that I can do that is legally binding, that is like a standing legal document that says, yes, like, you can use this as a commercial product, and if I do try to come after you, they can just show this thing, and I get shut down. You know what I mean, Nico?
Yeah, I totally agree with Jake, first of all. But also, I want to say that for me, obviously, stating something like that on your website or whatever, it doesn't really work. But with NFTs especially, and maybe Bree has an opinion on the matter. In NFTs especially, everything you want to pass like this uh, will probably be a good idea to pass it through the contract itself.
Yeah, I definitely agree with passing it through the contract itself. Shit, I was just gonna say something.
I mean that this is the legally binding situation when you pass it through the contract, because whatever it is in the contract, it stays in the blockchain. You cannot change it. Everybody can see it. What
Well,
happened?
well, if I let's say like, it's not in my contract obviously right now. But what stops somebody from just taking my original taco and using it and not even owning it? Like, so say they take the daily taco, your avatar, and start using it. Like, what stops them from doing that?
Like they do right now.
Exactly. Bri?
Yeah, these are some really good points. Especially, I was just having a conversation with Jason over at Coin Laundry about wells and the idea of stuff behind that. It's like you can make these contracts and they can be uh, technically binding. They can have everything that a contract in the Web 2 space would have. It's just all about how they're perceived. So in court systems and legal documents, we have to get them to say and recognize it as a legal document itself. Then going forth, we could, be able to validate against that. What really needs to happen is there needs to be a lot more court cases on this where they use certain contracts and stuff like that to be able to push cases and stuff. And once we get, lawyers have to fight and lawyers have to build legislature on this, then they'll start to be seen as more of a binding elements legally. But I'd like to see that. Yeah, I'd like to see all kinds of new things pop up about that. Just a little point on what Jake was talking about is like, what's the point on certain things? I do see that on NFT artist side, but being a developer that does make cutting edge technology and first of things, it's very important. Copywriting and protecting your intellectual property as an inventor and entrepreneur in this space when you're doing different things, going up front there. I've actually had my certain ideas stolen from me and stuff like that, so now I'm very protective about this. But as you're saying, yes, like if somebody did come after our technology, we do like $10,000 contracts and stuff, like and big deals and stuff. So when it comes down to coming for IP and copyrights, I will take somebody to court for that. So that is very important. So even having that there will become a deterrent. So make sure to stay on top of your copyrights and make sure to stay on top of your IPs.
So I could basically in the contract put like you own the commercial rights to this. If you mint this and you hold it in your wallet, you own the copyright law. You own the copyright and the IP to it as long as you hold it. And if it says that in the contract, they could use that as a legal document.
Yeah, essentially it's an agreement between two people. It's just if the court starts to argue against it, but ultimately it is that.
It's kind of like the terms of service on any product that you use, like I would say like social media or all the things that we never fucking read, because you don't read that, but it's like a legal binding document. You agreed to it. They have the record of you agreeing to it, and I think just it doesn't have to be like a document doesn't have to be like notarized by like a notary by like a lawyer or anything to be legally binding. If they put it in front of you and you agree to it, even if it's just written on a piece of paper, and they have that copy and it's your signature, your agreement on there, it can count as a legally binding document. Jake?
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up on that because I realized that came across the wrong way. I was not trying to say don't do copyright or anything like that. What I was trying to get at was just that the legality of that is simply the ability to fight back. It does not actually protect you from anything. So, for instance, Taco, you have yours copyrighted, and then we get a copycat out there. All the copyright does is gives you the legal power to say, you need to stop doing this or I can sue you. That's all that is. It doesn't actually, like, I wanted to say this because of the Plankton thing. Like, Plankton got taken down because OpenSea doesn't want to deal with that. If Plankton had his own contract, he would have just ignored that and said, come find me. I'll let you know if you're serious or not. You know what I'm saying? So, like, all I'm getting at is, like, I hear a lot of people talk about copyright, like, oh, well, I did that, so now my shit is safe. All that does is give you legal protection to pursue someone stealing your shit. It doesn't actually stop them from stealing anything or profiting off of it.
Yeah, I mean, people, even now, with the whole what was that Nike thing? Like, obviously that's protected, and they just use their thing. And obviously, a big company like Nike is going to go after something like that, especially if you're making a lot of money. It's all in, like you said earlier, it's all about like, do you have the time, the funds, and the drive to go after something like that? And it's scary because like most people don't. Like if I saw like my taco as an advertisement on a shop, a taco shop, I wouldn't know what to do. I probably wouldn't have the funds to do anything about it, and that's kind of scary. It's a strange world we live in. I'm sure that sometime in the future, though, all the like we're all early. I'm sure still sometime in the future, like Bry was saying, we just need more court cases, more people to know that like these documents are legally binding, and people will come after you. Right now, people are thinking that nothing's going to happen.
Yeah, I think a big thing is, no one wants to hear this. I don't even like saying it, but what's going to protect you as an artist is regulation.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you have to go. Otherwise you have to do the entire battle yourself. And I can just tell you, most of us don't have the time, power, knowledge, or money to do so. So you are going to want some regulation. Otherwise, you're just all ultimately going to get screwed by someone with more time, money, and bullshit tactics than you got.
Yeah, I'm definitely
truth.
all for regulation. There definitely needs to be regulation in the space. In the crypto space as well, we'll see a lot less scams in both spaces if there's more regulation. Nico?
Yeah, I wanted also to add that it is a different case if you are a painter, and it's a different case if you are a creator of a PFP project, right? Because okay, I understand when you're an artist and you're a painter, you make a unique piece of art, and that's that, and somebody buys it. What can he do with this? He can start reselling it in different methods. He can use it in different ways to make money out of it, and of course, that means a loss of money for the artist. But we're seeing now in the NFT space several NFT projects that realize they can actually use the IP rights as utility for their projects, right? Like, for example, I was reading the other day about apocalyptic apes. Okay, they made a deal with a company that's making hot sauce, and basically they offered as utility to the holders of the apocalyptic ape PFPs to basically make hot sauce with their PFP on the bottles. And every time a bottle with your PFP gets sold, you get 50%. So, again, the space is radicalizing the whole idea, even with stuff like copyright, that it's there for hundreds of years. Like copyright laws is one of the oldest thing, and it's pretty settled in the real world. But we see that in the crypto space, in the NFT space, even that is getting radicalized right now.
Yeah, I mean that's a really good idea. I like that idea of they can basically use the entire collection. I mean, because it would be cool to see your NFT on a bottle of hot sauce, and it would be awesome to know that you got paid as long as you own that NFT for the sale of that bottle. You know what I mean? That's a really big utility.
Yeah.
And I think that's but that's also kind of like up to the owner, you know what I mean? Like the owner could be like, you can use all, if they could put it some in their contract that says, we're going to use this image as we want for for commercial rights, and even if you own it, you don't get anything. But that's really cool that they would allow like the holder of the NFT to do that, because it definitely gives a big utility. Jake?
Yeah, just piggybacking on that concept, like that's so cool in theory, but like anything in this space, for me, it raises more questions than answers. Because like an NFT is not bound to any place on the planet, but I am, and there's different tax laws, and I could go like there's different legality everywhere I live. So how does that apply to that? How would that get dealt with? Like there's so much about the NFT space that doesn't frame into the way our world works right now. Like I can sell this thing anywhere. There are no limits, but I have all kinds of limits because I live in America versus you living wherever you are, even the state you're in. So like when I hear that, I just go, that just sounds like more problems than solutions ultimately. Because how do you tax that? If you tax it wrong, it's your fault. Like,
I feel like that would definitely be a huge project to get it done right. Because yeah, what if there's what if that brand starts getting sold in a different state or a different country with the different tax laws? Like, how do you go about that? It's kind of like that's when you need like an actual legal team. You need like an accountant, and it seems like a big project. Nico?
Well, obviously, it's a huge task to control all the business side of this. And of course, Apocalyptic Apes is a pretty big project, and it has a huge team behind it. But I don't. I believe it's basically a matter of what you're doing with your contract. Since they are giving the IP rights on their contract, basically the buyers of their NFTs could do it themselves. The same thing. They can, if they want, they can take the PFP and make I don't know, cups or T-shirts or whatever, and sell them by themselves. What they cannot do is to put the name Apocalyptic Apes, but they can sell, anything that has just a PFP. What they decided to do, though, knowing this, was to basically give a solution to their holders that would include basically the project to participate and take a cut. Basically, what they did was not so much to help the holders, but to help their own selves to get something out of these IP contracts that it's not theirs anymore. When you buy an Apocalyptic Ape, you get the IP rights. So the project loses that right. But if he can be a mediator, if he can be, the middleman that will create an organism, a business organism that will use my PFP, make sales, and give me a cut. Basically, what they do is to get in the middle, and get something out of these rights that are mine right now.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of like what you were saying about using the name. They can't use the name. That's kind of what World of Women was doing in that article. Like they give you the rights to use it commercially, but they don't give you the rights commercially to use the name World of Women, which kind of like separates it. It's like this image is yours, but the name is not yours to use. Jake?
Yeah, I mean, I love this conversation. I think this is the kind of thing that's honestly the most curious to me, because this again just goes back to a complete lack of framework, not only in the industry, but then how are countries and state, local laws going to perceive all this too? Because like everything we're talking about at the end of the day, is an NFT contract. That's not legally binding in the way that like other things are, because you can't like the idea that because it says it in code means in, I don't know, Sweden, it's going to be like first of all, the first question would be, how is the law even going to be applied? So you want to sue someone in Sweden? How does that work? I mean, just point blank. I don't know, but I assume that doesn't really work. So like, until there's like a regulatory body for, I don't want to use the term metaverse, but in essence, a place where the IP doesn't house anywhere physically, so to speak. It's in a user's hand, and that user can be anywhere on the planet at any given time. I mean, if I buy the NFT in one country and then go live in another, like, there are so many questions about how a tax code and a government would approach this, perceive this. I've heard horror stories overseas about guys that work here and get taxed 2, 3, 4 times because the system doesn't give a shit about your unique situation. So like, there's so much of this that until you have someone legally like build it out and create frameworks and expectations, and there's a legal precedent through courts, like, this is all just theoretical nonsense. Like, none of it's binding and none of it's legit. None of it's like concrete, meaning in a month or two, some legal entity can come in and be like, yeah, we don't give a shit about those contracts. They mean nothing. And I can promise you that's what it'll be, because we did this all in the Wild West time when there was no regulation and no standards set by any monetary or otherwise systems. So like, this is all just like smoke and mirrors, like hopeful, I think this is how it works, but I don't know. Like, and I hope we're all right about these things, but there's just no way to know.
Yeah, and I feel like, going back to what Bry said, there just needs to be more, like, and what you were saying, Jake, more regulation, and what Bry was saying, like more court cases regarding contracts, and to know like what actually is legally binding, what actually counts as a legal document. Because I feel like in the future, smart contracts could be just like regular written contracts. Like, if something's written in there, and it'll kind of be like the terms of service. Like, if you don't read the entire contract, they could put in one line that says, if you buy this, we get 5% of all your fucking income. That's just some ridiculous thing, but like, I feel like in the future, after more regulation comes in and more actual like important people from the industry come in and kind of actually step in and see like what's happening in the space and what these contracts actually mean in a legal standpoint. Eventually, I'm sure it'll kind of be like, you have to have this in your contract, kind of like the OpenSea royalties thing now, because everybody was just getting their royalties from the exchanges, and there was no legal binding for the exchanges to give you royalties. It was kind of just like, all right, yeah, we'll give you royalties because we're trying to get users and stuff. But now, there's a bunch of people that don't like the royalties, and you can now in your contract write that, or basically have to write, if you want the royalties, you have to write that directly into your contract. And I feel like in the future, everything's going to be flipped upside down. Like, nothing that we really know now is going to be solid in stone. I mean, maybe a few things, but it is the Wild West right now, and we're kind of all just hoping, I guess, for the best. And I think after people start stepping in, like big high figures start stepping in and deciding, and the governments and whatever decide what actual is a legal document, and what constitutes a smart contract as a legal document, what has to be in the contract for it to be considered a legal document, that'll eventually start building out like the next generation of smart contracts. Jake?
Yeah, and seconding all of that, I just always go back to the other just massive question mark, which is, the framework that all of this sits in, which is we're talking about NFTs and contracts, but all of this is funded through a blockchain. And most of the NFTs sit on.
Oh, Jake,
There's that
Jake,
too.
you're rugged. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
You were rugging for like the last 10 seconds.
You didn't hear that? Oh yeah.
I can hear you now though.
Okay. So what I was saying was like the other like massive component of all of this is, we're talking about NFTs and contracts, but that's just the sub-layer to what's really going on, which is the NFT is on a blockchain. That blockchain is Ethereum for the most part, and my country hasn't even decided what Ethereum is yet. Is it a security or not? And so like that's another part of this that's just like up in the air, because that structures everything, because you want to talk about what your NFT is. Well, your NFT is a subset of that. So what happens with that legally? And then how does that impact? So like that's what I mean when I just say like no one really knows, because none of those systems are established as law yet. So it's like it's all theoretical at best.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, and it definitely has to be like it's definitely not just are like smart contracts legally binding. It's like, is the blockchain legally binding? Is it like, is you looking at the ledger of a blockchain, an Ethereum blockchain or the Polygon blockchain, like, is that transaction on there, even though it's listed here, is that a legally binding transaction? Like, is that an actual legal thing, I guess. I don't know much. I'm kind of just speaking out my ass here because I don't know a lot. But I feel like in the future, it's all going to be different. We're all still super early, and there's definitely going to be some major changes coming. That when they do, some of them will be like, "How is that a thing?" And some will be like, "Why wasn't that there all along?" And I'm sure it will happen eventually. And and I can't wait for those days, because then it's going to be a lot more legit. There'll be a lot less scams. Most people that are running the scams now will be long gone because they can't just take your money and run anymore. And we're starting to see that slowly in the NFT space and in the crypto space, where people are being held accountable. And eventually it's going to be a good space to be in, and it's not going to be what if, or does this is this actually legit. It's gonna be good in the future, but it's gonna take a while, and it's gonna be a long ride. And hopefully most of us will, and I feel like a lot of us that are here right now will still be here. But I feel like a lot of projects that are direct derivatives of other projects will be long gone. You will see a lot less copycats, a lot less, oh, this is the Bored Ape on Polygon, this is the Bored Ape on Solana, and it's basically the same art. And I think we'll see a lot less of those. And we'll see a lot more of like original content and people that obviously you need to do your own research about, but a lot more people that you can trust. Because right now it's kind of like hope. Jake?
Yeah, last thing I'll just say is like all of everything I just said is all like I'm just asking the questions. I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, well, those are the questions that need to be asked, and I totally understand that.
Yeah, so all I'm getting at with all of this, guys, is just like don't say anything is a fact in terms of NFTs, because it's just not. Like, you might be right, but it would just simply because you guessed right. So much of this is in no way ironed out. I'm predicting years of this BS, quite honestly, because it's so complicated and so far-reaching, and it's dialing into so many components of our life. Like, we're obsessed with the art component of this, but it's about to blow up in every way. Like, not just art. And when that happens, that's when all the legal bodies will really start to move, because that's when the real money start moving from governments and corporations. And you can already see it happening with Polygon. Like, all these, Starbucks, Disney, everything else. And once they start getting into it, they're going to want to know how to optimize their revenue streams, their profit margins. They're going to want to be legally protected. They're going to go lobby, in Congress and shit. So all this is going to like shift soon, if it isn't already. And once that happens, we'll start seeing all the dominoes like fall into place. But
yeah, and I'm sure it is going to start happening soon with all the big companies coming in, because you're right. They want to be legally protected. They're going to be. They're going to make sure that they're legally protected, and that people can't use their image. And right now, it's basically all empty promises to sell a collection and to get some money. And there are some good eggs out there that actually want to do those things, but right now everybody's just giving not broken, but like empty promises, because they don't know. I don't know. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Only time will really tell what is actually gonna be like legal and what's gonna be actually doable.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, man, I really appreciate you having me. Let me talk here. I got to run, but really love this space. Happy you guys are all here. Happy to talk copyright and all this shit. It's meaningful. It's important. Got to protect each other, inform each other. Yeah, you all have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, Jake.
Peace.
I appreciate you coming. Appreciate you with your insight. You always come with some really hard-hitting questions that makes me think a lot, so I definitely appreciate you. We are going to be ending this space shortly, but if anybody has anything else to say about copyright, about what they think is the space might be in the future, I'm definitely all ears. If anybody wants to jump up and talk, anybody we haven't heard from, give me your thoughts. Nico?
Yeah, I think that on the regulatory front, we're gonna have news soon, because I don't know what's going on in the States, but here in Europe, they have the European Union has created a whole sector actually working right now in Brussels on the matter of regulations about the blockchain, and that obviously means that we will soon have something on this front here in Europe, at least. And in my opinion, I would advise creators of the space to take the safe bet here, which actually is to work on the contracts, because in my opinion, eventually, smart contracts will actually replace what we know as contracts in the real world. But that's my humble opinion, of course. I don't really know if that will happen. It's the most possible outcome in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like in the future, like smart contracts will coincide with actual legal contracts. I mean, like smart contracts will be legal documents as well. But right now, nothing's set in stone and nothing's like legally binding.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes people have a big idea about what a contract is and what's legally binding, etc. Because at the end of the day, you have to realize when you go to the supermarket and you buy something and you get a receipt, that small piece of paper is a contract. Okay, it's a contract between you and the supermarket that you had the intention to buy something and you bought it, and they were offering something and you bought it. So you can understand why blockchaining and why a smart contract is 1,000 times better to do the work of a legally binding document rather a small supermarket receipt.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with that 100%. because there's so many. A lot of things can be a legal document, and having the blockchain, having recording all the transactions, it just kind of makes sense that contracts and receipts and legal documents that are stored in the blockchain that will always be there will be the best way to go about it, especially in the future, especially regarding like Web3 and the internet and stuff like that. Like it definitely seems like the way it would go. Bri, you have a lot of knowledge on creating contracts and things like that. What are your thoughts on smart contracts being legally binding and replacing the traditional contract if you're still there?
Yeah, yeah, of course. I I see it as is revolutionary. Honestly, it's just the mass adoption leads into the frameworks that make this possible. But as it is with legal documentation versus like what a contract does, like I've already minted certain things where it's like instead of doing my user agreements or any kind of like NDAs and stuff like that, I've actually started to make these contract systems where we can do it right on the blockchain and verify against it. I do know that it's like we have the capability of the possibilities of certain legal entities being like, hey, that might not be, legal as we, explore the blockchain and everything like that. But I know, like, just like, I see it too. I mean, it's just out there. The idea of having this zero knowledge ledger. So, like, literally, you can have privatized information, but still be held up to some sort of contractual agreement. So I think it's just step above what we know from Web 2 contracts. And I see lawyers and stuff too. We actually have a person on our Bring It Blockchain Solutions team that does the legal stuff and does all that. And like literally, like they'll work for percentages because this is the new age and the new thing. There's laws and there's classes, and I know they're advanced right now, but like paralegal advanced classes and lawyers for crypto law. And we're starting to see proposed legislatures, and as the old people phase out, and this is just the problem in science, this is the problem in politics, is the old stuffy guys that are set in their ways, but they retire ultimately, and these new younger woke generations that have their foot in the future, utilizing these contracts which are optimized paper systems, completely doing away with the old archaic ways of how courts use these kind of because it's like filing data. NFTs right now are art, but they are ultimately the best kind of data transfer system in the background that you could possibly have. It just hasn't been realized yet. So not only do I think it would be a legal system, but I actually see the entire legal, the platform itself turning over into these new database management systems provided by what NFTs can offer. So I actually see it just revolutionizing not only the way we do contracts, but revolutionizing how the legal system even approaches legislature on it.
Yeah, I
Preach.
definitely, I completely agree. Nico?
No, I definitely agree with Bree. Basically, he said everything that I wanted to say, but in a better way, of course, because his English is a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like that's where the future is headed, as because it is just like a normal contract, except it's you know on the blockchain. Blockchain is solid, and it's there. Like anybody can see it. You know what I mean? So you can't hide it. You can't say that it didn't happen, and I feel like it's definitely the way of the future, and I feel like we're definitely gravitating towards that. But it's all about what's going to be happening in the future with the regulation and all that stuff. And like Jake and Bri were saying, like the companies getting into the space, they're going to want to protect themselves. They're going to make sure they protect themselves. And I think eventually, and I'm sure things are already happening in the background right now that they are doing that, not just with actual paper contracts, but with actual contracts on the blockchain, like with the contracts they're writing and just the way they're setting up their whole NFT and crypto ventures. So I'm sure we'll see in the next year, 2 years, and like I said, it's probably happening right now. We'll see a big shift in legality on the blockchain with NFTs, with regulation, and it's gonna get rid of a lot of bad eggs, and it's gonna make everybody in the space a lot safer. It's gonna make a lot of people, because obviously people want, the people that are investing money in the space, not just NFTs, but like in the crypto space and stuff. They want to be trusted so that mass adoption can happen. And right now, it's not there. Right now, it's it's there's a bad omen over the space with all the scams happening, with people losing millions of dollars from rug pulls and things like that, and with all the court cases recently happening and stuff like that. Like, it's definitely coming, 100% coming, that people are going to be held accountable. More people, like all the people that have been doing this, are going to be held accountable. Um, it's going to be like the influencers with the advertising and not disclosing. It's regulation is coming, and the legality of the space is going to be not what we think it is today, but it's going to be set in stone, and it's going to be for the greater good. Not everybody might not like it, but it's definitely going to be for the greater good of the space in general. And I'm definitely here for it. I'm definitely ready for it, and I can't wait until that day comes. But we're going to be ending the space. This was really awesome. Sorry, Toad, my bad, man. Well, this is gonna be it's been a really awesome talk today. I'm glad we're having these like really hard, deep talks every week. Last week, we talked about the metaverse, what that could mean for the future. We talked about regulation and copyright things and the legality of things this week, and who knows what we're going to be talking about next week. But these are the talks that the masses need to have. I'm glad we're having them here, and I'm glad you guys are all here and to hang out and listen to our opinions about what's happening to the space. Obviously, we don't know what's going to be. None of us here, none of us that spoke, know what's going to be happening in the future. It's kind of just our opinions on what we would hope to happen, what we think might happen, and that's how we develop and get an idea of what actually is going to happen. So it's been very informative for me today. I hope it was informative for everybody else in the space. I hope to see you next week. I will figure out a subject for next week. I kind of just wing it, depending on what's happening in the space. We didn't even realize we were going to be talking about copyright and IPs until yesterday. So hopefully I can do a little bit more research as well next week on a different subject of the space. And I really appreciate everybody coming, taking their time, hanging out. Nico, Bry coming up to talk, Jake, who came up to talk as well. I really appreciate you guys sharing your opinions, and I hope to see you guys next week. Sorry that I was a little late today. We had an appointment to fix the Apple Pen so I could continue the guac collection. Got that all settled out. So I'm going to be changing some things in the guac collection as well that I was talking about, with the character assets and things like that, just so that maybe in the future, if SpongeBob does decide to come after me, they can't do shit about it. But that's kind of what we need. We need these corporations and these people that are stealing intellectual property to get caught and get out of the space. And we need more original art, less derivatives, and less copycats. So I'm excited, and I have no problem redrawing a few assets that would maybe be considered in the future as intellectual property by somebody else. So I appreciate everybody coming. Thank you so much. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you guys next week. See ya.